Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. My name is Carlton D'Souza. This is Million Opinions. And in today's episode, we are going to speak everything AI. As much as we can cover, we will ask Mr. Vasudevan Kidambi, who is going to slowly guide us through everything AI and what his vision is for the future. So help me welcome Mr. Vasudevan Kidambi. Welcome to Million Opinions, sir.
Hi, Carlton. Yeah, pleasure to be with you. And especially a youthful person and a person with a lot of curiosity. So it's fantastic to be with you.
That is me or you, sir, because even you're very youthful.
I am, yeah.
So tell us a bit about yourself.
Hailing from Tamil Nadu, in a remote part of Tamil Nadu then, did my schooling in Kendriya Vidyalaya. Then, those days, destiny takes you, right? You have a very little control on what you actually can perform and can do. So I did my graduation in physics and then the post-graduation. My first job was BPL, the famous, the nostalgic brand in India. I stopped the job and then went to pursue my management degree post-graduation. Then I landed in Saudi Arabia. What a start, right? So only after you land in Saudi Arabia, I'm talking about the then Saudi Arabia, not today Saudi Arabia. So then I decided, having landed, let me just go through the entire contract period of 1 year. So 365 days back, I'm back in Bangalore. Waiting for an appointment order from Samsung. That was the time when Samsung was planning to set up their subsidiary. So I was the first non-Korean employee to get on board. And then the journey began. So Samsung was a great journey for me, a great learning for me. It's still a university for me. It's a great alma mater where I learned everything, not just only sales. And I had this nice flair of doing things beyond what I'm supposed to be doing. So I entered into all other areas of logistics, documentation, finance and all. So I rounded myself with an overall functional understanding, including compliance those days and so on. So that gave me a great opportunity to join Sanyo brand, which was a multi-industry company, by the way. So I could pitch myself. I always believed that you can perform in any job. So I used to jokingly say that if I get a job in Jotun Paints, I would just go there simply, not knowing what the paint industry is all about. But at the end of the day, it is a relationship, and it is business does the same thing. So it's your inventory. It is all things remain the same. Only industry changes, but your conviction to adapt is fundamental there. So if there is a taker on the other side, I'm game for it. So that's the kind of attitude that I developed, having understood the all functional areas. So Sanyo came my way at that point in time. So then after that, for serving them for 4 years as time frame, then this entrepreneurial calling came, and then we set up our shop 18 years ago. We were doing some business like, the recruitment and consulting and all that. Over a period of time, every time, one of the important, and that's today world calls it agility. So whenever there is a crowd in a particular area, that's your time to exit from that place. So every time you come there, and then there are so many people who lose job, what do they become? They become a recruitment consultant. Then there was another era where they became a trainer and a coach, right? Today they all become consultants, right? So as and when things move, so you need to keep on differentiating yourself, or sometimes move out, and then that is, in my opinion, simply it's called agility. Go where the world moves and so on. So today, it was not by accident when I'm just seen as a very exponent in generative AI today. It also came in the similar manner that when things started happening in the world way back in 3 years ago, close to 3 years ago, ChatGPT was the talk of the town. Again, the same curiosity. What lived through me and continuously is something called curiosity. Today, I call it as vitamin C, and I prescribe it to everybody. So the curiosity made me look into what's this Gen AI or ChatGPT all about. And that put me into a new set of direction where I am now seen as an exponent in Gen AI. I am now looking at ESG which is from 2028 and 2030 onwards. That's going to be a different time period altogether. So if, again, the same thing. There are more and more consultants, whosoever in the late 40s and mid 50s will become a consultant, then I need to differentiate myself. So that's the ESG. So I'm pursuing my doctorate in ESG right now, and I'm building my credentials. You need to prepare. You need to prepare the soil. And this is something that I have understood over a period of time. So for Gen AI, I started preparing soil nearly close to 3 years ago. For ESG, I'm starting to prepare the soil. Right, I published a book on ESG called ESG Mindset. I am presenting papers on that. So, yeah, that's how I have made my life interesting.
Quite an
driven by
evolution.
curiosity.
Like I said, quite an evolution. But can you simplify what is Gen AI and what is ESG to our listeners and to me, of course?
Gen AI is nothing but generative AI. So these are tools that are available for common man to use. So when you say AI, we think it's technology. Yes, obviously it is technology. There are people who create tools, process, automation. So they are the different set of people who are all coders and system analysts and so on. We are all users. It's like, you go to Carrefour and buy a kit of Black & Decker. And it's there ready for you to use. You only need to know which screwdriver or which spanner to use for what purpose, that's all. So Gen AI is a new revolution. It's a revolution which focuses on changing completely the way of working and way of thinking. And that's huge. It's a total revolution. It's like, a general purpose technology that we can call, like a steam engine changed the way, like a printing press changed the way, and like aeroplanes changed. These are all technologies from time to time, which came and changed the way things functioned. Your Amazon is another example, right? So your smartphone is another example. So all of them. Similarly, Gen AI, that is why I tell people, everybody, to take generative AI seriously, because it is there to change the way of working, and this time, more importantly, change the way of thinking. And that's where it becomes very critical these days. ESG, on the other hand, it's nothing but, it stands for environment, social, and governance. It's all these three aspects put together. It's not just sustainability. It is not just the carbon footprint or whatever and so on. That's one part of that, right? The middle part is the social. And there is a lot of changes that are required and the changes that are happening. And equally important is the governance. And all these three needs tremendous improvement. And that's why this is becoming a whole new skill. Because if you put all of them together, it's actually culture, right? You can implement VAT, you can implement corporate tax, and everybody will follow. You put a date, and then everybody will follow. If government is going to tell that ESG is going to be strictly implemented and these are the penalties for not following it, you can't do that overnight. It's a culture that you need to build. So organizations will have to start preparing for that, right? And that's going to be a talk of the town, or a very important aspect by 2030. But you also have to prepare for that, right? Gen AI, for me, it is one of the lever for business transformation.
Can you tell us more about that?
Okay. A business transformation is for what purpose? The purpose of business transformation is to enhance efficiency, improve your profitability, right? So Gen AI, in short, if I will tell you an arithmetic equation, one person can do 10 people's job 10 times faster at 1/10 of the cost. That's huge economics. That's huge commerce, right? And that's possible with Gen AI because it aims at increasing the speed of your delivery at a much higher quality of your output, and overall creates a great amount of efficiency, and it also further helps each and every individual enhance his or her own capabilities. It looks, in an analog world, it looks like a daydreamer, right? Quality also high, speed also high, efficiency also high, and acquiring new capabilities in just very, very short time frame. This is a daydreaming in an analog world, but today it is possible.
At the same time, it also is fear. A lot of people are scared of it. They might replace
And that's
our
my
jobs.
that's my job. I keep demystifying all these fears and myths and all that stuff. And I am actually an accidental entry into this kind of talks and coaching. I have been a practitioner of Gen AI, Carlton. So what the world fears is not what I see as a practitioner. So which means I have seen something that the world is seeing differently. And that's why there's a lot of hesitation that I see in people in terms of embracing Gen AI. I use the word embrace Gen AI, not to catch up with Gen AI speed or cope up with what the technology is moving. You have only one option, embrace, because it's a technology that is not waiting for people to adopt it. There have been technology where it was waiting for people to adopt it. This is not. This is moving at a breakneck speed. And that's something that I understood that very clearly. And I tell people you have only one option, just embrace Gen AI. Because it is the way of working and way of thinking is changing. And I'll tell you one very important thing. All the revolutions that you have seen so far that humanity has ever seen and produced happened outside the human body. Right? Until your smartphone happened outside the human body. For the first time, Gen AI is a revolution that is inside our body, which is trying to take a small portion of your brain, with intelligence, for the first time. And we are trying to cope up with this new revolution, right? And therefore, it is unique by all means. And therefore, now this is coming to you as a co-thinker. We don't know how to live in this, right? This I don't call it as artificial intelligence because it is not artificial anymore. It is rather nicer to call it as an augmented intelligence because you now have the capability to connect your knowledge and your wisdom, and all our knowledge and wisdom depends upon our age, our experience, and that's it, right? And that's very limited, right? But if you can connect your knowledge with the global collective knowledge that has been there, not now, but even 100 years before, 1,000 years before, all of them are in the form of your large language models that has been trained on that. That is huge. What multiplier number can you put depends upon how well you embrace generative AI. And that's why it's extremely different.
You did mention about collective thinking and a collective data pool of great minds. So, and also a co-thinker. I'll bring out 3 scenarios. I just would want you to help me understand what am I not seeing it the way you're seeing things. One thing is doing assignments, the children using AI to do assignments.
Yeah.
How do we work that? Is it a right thing to do? Is it not the right thing to do? Second one is as a co-thinker, sometimes it goes a bit extreme. There was a case where one of the brands, they had...
Big Four.
Not the Big Four. One of the brands had one particular version where most of the individuals started taking that service, that AI service, and communicating to that AI service as a partner or a companion, which to me is a bit strange and not really normal because we are social beings. We would need to speak to another human being, not to AI, and discuss that problem. So that is where there's a disconnect with people and more reliance on AI as a companion. And the third thing being, so much data is given to AI. What about the privacy and the misuse by corporations?
Okay. 3 points, right? Well, let's start with your first one.
The assignments.
The assignments. Well, today students use ChatGPT and other tools for their assignments because they are not still taught the guardrails. Tool is available, they are using the tool without guard. It becomes very important for the world to understand the guardrails. That's not applicable only for the schools, it is applicable all the way till the consulting companies today, right? So, have you ever tried stopping a student from using an iPad or a tablet? We tried and we failed. We tried to stop them from using smartphones. We tried and we failed. And we have only one option. We have to tell them and train them how to use it with a purpose. Same thing applies with your generative AI tools also. We need to teach them and tell them how to use it because their world is different. We need to measure them using their scale for their world. And that's unfortunately, that doesn't happen, right? We measure them using our scale for the world that we lived. And that's not the same. Next 5 years is not going to be the same. For simple reason, Carlton, 2030, 70% of the jobs in 2030 doesn't exist today. So what kind of a world that we are talking about? What kind of a future that we are trying to build for the children? So these children will have to naturally adapt to these technologies, whether we as parents or teachers like it or not. And I normally tell in my master classes. In Tamil Nadu, Microsoft and the ministry have teamed up to train and educate rural school children close to 2 years ago on AI and Gen AI knowledge. So this high level of knowledge that we think artificial intelligence is high level of knowledge for us, it is already being commoditized at a rural school level. They have already done it for more than 1,000 schools. They are moving to 14,000 schools and so on. It's not an isolated event. The similar activity is happening in UAE. Similar activity has started in Saudi Arabia. Singapore has already subsidized people in mid-30s and mid-40s with asking them to go and upskill them. There's a lot of changes that are happening. So it is not something, should I or should I not? The question should be how well I should do it. And therefore that answers even for the academia also. The teachers and the faculty will have to learn how to do it right. Well, if accidents happen at the Big Four consulting level, it will happen at all levels, right? But we need to evolve and keep moving and find solutions and keep moving. And that's my answer for actually the students. It's a technology. It's not waiting, as I keep saying. It's not waiting for anybody to adapt. You have to embrace it and then find solutions. And of course, as a part of my research paper, I have already found solutions for all these myths and fears that we all have. Something like, will my creativity get compromised? Will my originality get compromised? No, it will all be having a multiplier effect if you are using it responsibly. We need to tell the children how to use it responsibly. The faculty will have to use it responsibly. All the way till the corporate will have to use it responsibly.
But there are the cases where people misuse it.
We are in the transition.
Right.
All these things are part and parcel of every transition that happens, right? Otherwise, we can't have a bullet train today, right? Or the Hyperloop tomorrow, right?
But when do you think we would be in a place where people will have faith in generative AI?
No, people who remain in fear will continue to remain in fear unless those fear is demystified, right? And that's what has started happening in the last, especially from the second half of the year. A lot of talks, I get a lot of invites to come and talk about how to understand the whole thing better and so on. So it is just a question of time. I do spend good amount of time in social groups, in the academia, in the universities and colleges. And like me, there should be so many people doing it and so on. So over a period of time, it's already late. Computerization, as I understood, took 10 years for humanity to complete its transformation. Good 10 years is time frame, way back 30 years before approximately. The generative AI experts say that it will take only 3 years is time frame. But that 3 years is already coming to an end now. But therefore, there is a rush, and I can see this rush across the spectrum, starting from schools to colleges. Governments are taking serious action on it. So automatically all these things. So it's a question of transition period. Maybe a year or two, everything will fall in place. Regulations are still, always regulations are lagging. Technology leads, regulation comes much later and so on. So same thing applies in this scenario also. All these things will come to some kind of a stabilization in a matter of, say, a couple of years' time frame. And that's when the whole things would have changed.
Right. So the other two scenarios.
The second one was?
Relying on AI as a partner, as a companion.
Ignorance and lack of knowledge and understanding of what it is people, I wouldn't say misuse, it's using a tool with lack of knowledge on the tool. It applies to anything, even a gun, same thing, right? So right now that's what is happening. People go and then talk everything to them, but that's not supposed to be. Keep that as your co-thinker for professional purposes. But yeah, even I sometimes ask ChatGPT for certain health conditions. But then there's something called, most importantly, sense making. World doesn't know much. They are using the tool, they are getting something out of the tool, and then they're going and then putting it or consuming it or just putting it into public. They forgot the whole thing called sense making. So I stress the importance of the role of human. Then your another question gets answered, that will I lose my job? You cannot lose your job provided you perform what you're supposed to be performing. That is, you should be the thinker at the beginning and you should be the sense maker at the end. And in between, this is a tool. And this is a tool, it's a technology, it's a machine, whatsoever in whatever way you call it. And we have been using these machines for thousands of years, like we have used every other machine. Provided in this particular case, because it is taking some space within your intelligence, that is where you must be the thinker at the beginning and sense maker at the end. Then you have a job. Humanity and human relevance cannot be marginalized by any kind of technology. Today we don't know how to use this technology and how to leverage this technology. And that's a transition that we are undergoing now.
You did mention that 70% of the people in
70% of the jobs don't exist today.
Right. So, and you do consultancies so that you make people embrace Gen AI.
Yeah.
Give us an example. Tell us a story or a hypothetical of how you make this work.
Okay, so as I told you, I'm an accidental coach, right? And why I'm an accidental coach is because that's not my fundamental profession. Mine is more on a consulting, is my job, primary job. When I saw that the world is relatively being misguided or misdirected in terms of how to use it, and when I see that that is not my case, then I said I need to go and then tell the world how to use that. So it's generative AI is not about learning a tool, and that's how the world perceives that. Do you know this tool? Do you know that tool? And so on. It's not about learning a tool. It's about making a fundamental shift in your mind. It's for you to understand that the world has changed, right? And therefore, when I do masterclasses, and if you ask for an example for large organizations, when I just stepped into it, I said, I'm not here to teach you tool. I'm here to transform the way you are working and the way you are thinking. And that's a great responsibility. And I reasonably can guarantee by the end of a 2-day kind of a program. Because what I do is, I brought some minute changes in the way such sessions are done, such coaching sessions are done. I prepare the audience 1 week before onwards, stemming from my very strong belief that if in an unprepared soil, even an imported and best quality seeds will not germinate. But if you prepare the soil, you just can come and throw the seed, right? 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 will germinate. So I prepare my audience well in advance before the D-Day, right? So that's fundamental. So they know why they are coming there and so on. Then I prepare their mind, demystifying the fears and all that stuff. I've seen many people who come on day one, beginning of the session, say that I am not here, I will not ask my children, my daughter or my son to use generative AI. But end of the day too, they said, I'm now very happy that I'm going to tell my daughter that, this is a great tool for us to use. That's the kind of transformation you see. But there's a process, because I'm dealing with human mind. It's not any other coaching program. So preparing the mind becomes important. Then I tell them that something you need to know about human to machine conversation, right? And that's great. We don't know how to communicate with machine. We think it's a human to human itself is a challenge, right? So human to machine is a different challenge. So we know. So we need to tell the audience what is and how is it to talk to a machine. And the third one is the sense making, right? And how do you go about sense making? So once this entire spectrum of this transformation is completely laid out into the minds of the audience, my audience, then I tell them how to, the art of learning a tool. After that, anybody can learn a tool anytime, all by themselves. But if we are trying to create a structure without a foundation, at the minimal weather change, the structure is going to collapse, and that's what is happening. Right. Foundation is important, and I've seen and I've experienced the foundation, and that is what I'm educating the world on that.
See, I'm glad to have you on the podcast because I've seen your schedule and you are doing masterclass after masterclass and then you're a keynote speaker. But tell me, why you? Why do people call you? What is special with you?
They see me making life much easier for them. I think that's the thing, because I'm also now seeing that more and more people, when they invite me, because as I told you, my core skill is storytelling. So I tell stories. And when I talk, I don't talk technology. I talk common man language. And common man language has got only few questions and answers. And then I just have to go through a question and answer. And that's it. And they find it very easy for them to understand that. And that's when they think that, yeah, that's the man to call.
So current trends, you did mention that Gen AI is something which is happening. Then on the other hand, ESG is also happening. It will take some time. ESG is sustainability, environment, sustainability and governance.
Yeah.
Yep. What are the other trends that you see that are going to take place in the next 5 years?
Well, I'm not a futurist of that nature to predict. And today, if you ask me, I characterize 2025 as a year of recalibration.
Can you tell us a bit more?
2020 was the year of reset. We all can understand that, right? So in the last 5 years' time frame, so many things happened. Today, this year is a year of recalibration, because every aspect of business and personal life, people are calibrating, people are making changes, right? So whether you call it, and this is done because we are in the middle of a long-drawn uncertainty. In a long-drawn uncertainty, you can't have a fixed plan. You need to keep on calibrating, right? And today you can see things have to be recalibrated by the announcements that are happening on Twitter, and that's unprecedented, right? So when a series of unprecedented changes and things in the way things ought to have happened, and that's where every business and every person has to keep on. Therefore, I called it as a year of recalibration. The next 5 years are going to see tremendous amount of changes, upheavals, and so on. And I put that into multiple forces. So if you talk economic flux, there is a whole lot of economic flux. You talk about de-dollarization or de-globalization, or is United Nations make sense or it doesn't make sense? WTO makes. These were not the questions existing 2 years ago, right? Climate change, Paris climate, is it okay or is it not okay? So many questions have come today, so creating a whole lot of economic flux, right?
And challenging their relevance, of course.
And challenging their relevance and challenging everybody, every business, every job today. So then you have your, conflicts. Now, I used to call it as conflicts earlier, but I need to change that into war. And interestingly, I drive curiosity everywhere. I learned that there are 80 points of conflicts in the world today. Small, big, whatever, you can do the classification. So conflicts all around, wars are here and there and so on. Then you have your technology, our friend, which has been disrupting for the last 20, 25 years. We have been talking over and again on this. Then you have your acts of God, you have your weather changes. Interestingly, there's another thing called the population dynamics. And that's an interesting thing. I initially said it is evolving population dynamics because it was evolving. People are moving, taking shifts. But today it is confusing. And I had to change my slide and then say that it is confusing because we don't know who is going to be here. Somebody is pushing so many people, right? So all these things are acting all at the same time. And that is why I say that it is a year of recalibration and probably a year or a decade of recalibration, which will be the mean. So we understanding that you are in the middle of recalibration every moment. Therefore, it calls for a different set of leadership skills, managerial skills, or even personal living aspects also. So knowing is important. Ignorance is not an option anymore.
5 myths or tips that you would want to give our listeners and audiences.
5 myths
or tips. Yeah.
5 tips. Okay, very important. For audience, if I put it as the working audience, the white collar audience, that's what I relate to a lot, is to know geopolitics. And this is my very, if you ask me, prescription. I would rather say my first prescription to anybody is embrace curiosity. Everything else will follow. It's not for a joke or a reason. World Economic Forum puts curiosity as a premium skill year after year. And if you see 7 out of 10 skills that the World Economic Forum puts as premium skills for the upcoming world, 7 out of 10 are cognitive skills. It's like listening, active listening is a skill. Empathy is a skill. And I turn and say, which university and which college ever is going to give you a graduation in curiosity and empathy and active listening and so on? Listeners are great leaders, right? Today we have a huge scarcity of people with listening skills, right? That's going to define your leadership. So curiosity. And for all these skills, the mother of all skills is curiosity. If you lack curiosity, you're not going to learn anything, because to learn, you need curiosity. So that's my fundamental thing. Geopolitics is affecting every business, every job, and every personal life also. So little bit of understanding and knowledge in order for you to stay relevant, that's definitely a critical aspect. Gen AI is a fundamental, is a crucial thing, because it will decide. And normally when everybody says, will Gen AI take away my job? The only right answer and best answer is Gen AI will not take away jobs, but somebody else with Gen AI skills will take away the job of somebody else without the skills, right? So Gen AI becomes important. ESG is everybody's responsibility. When I say ESG, at least sustainability is largely everybody's responsibility. There's a lot of effort that is to be put on governance, and governance is also everybody's responsibility, right? It's integrity, right? Fundamentally. Social is also another important component. So ESG becomes your fourth thing. And then continuous learning is again critical, because world is recalibrating. What is 2026 syllabus? We have to come to 2010. So the visibility being too short and narrow, the only way is for you to keep learning. And for all these things, back to my fundamental vitamin C, which is your curiosity.